What's going on, guys? So welcome back to part 3 on our series showcasing the outside of RVs and talking to you about things that you want to identify and understand that you're looking at whenever you're walking around an RV dealership lot. Now, part 1, we talked about drop frames, we talked about A-frames, we talked about trailer jacks, we talked about landing gear, a lot of the differences between them, and we did a basic walk around of the outside of an RV to go over some of the things you might see. Part 2, we continued on the exterior of the RV, talking about things like your tires, your awnings, your lighting, some of the things that you're going to see on the side of an RV. Now, this is part 3. In part 3, we're going to talk about a topic that's kind of personal to me because I feel like I've invented a category that needs to be adhered to for it to be an advertised feature on an RV. Hang tight, I'll be right back. So what am I talking about? I am talking about outside kitchens and outside storage as well. We talked a little bit about the reason why fifth wheels, some of your luxury or your higher end fifth wheels will typically have a drop frame. And in some cases, luxury high-end fifth wheels that don't have a drop frame because they do things a little differently, like Brinkley, where instead of a drop frame, they use a solid rail that goes through here, or a solid I-beam, and they put storage underneath it, which is actually really cool and innovative because it's the first time I've seen it done in a long time. There are some classic RVs that did some things that were similar, but that is absolutely something that is kind of revolutionary these days. Anyways, this basement storage right here is massive because of that drop frame, right? That drop frame allows this I-beam right here to stop, and then they put a lower I-beam so it opens up the storage in this space. And check out the first video. We went into some really great detail on the reasons, the perks of a drop frame, and if that's all it is. Now, back to kitchens. So, kitchens, to me, on an RV are super important. You have a kitchen on the inside of the RV and having one on the outside of an RV. This, in my opinion, is kind of like a semi-kitchen. Why is it a semi-kitchen? Because there's nowhere to cook right here. There's no gas connection. There's nothing that pulls out that gives me the ability to grill some hot dogs or some steaks or some burgers outside. I have to bring my own solution, which is not a problem to me. We have a table inside there. We can set it up. I can put one of my grills on top of it, and we can cook really, really well. The grill sits right in this area whenever we're using it, and I'm right next to my sink, right next to my refrigerator. The reason why I consider this a semi-kitchen is because it has a compact refrigerator and it also has a sink. Now, for me, it is critically important. It is a mandatory element in an RV to have an outside kitchen with a sink. If there is no sink, then it's not a kitchen at all. It's probably just a storage hatch that they threw a refrigerator into. But to have a sink outside, I think, is probably one of the most important features if you're going to call it an outside kitchen. So this is a great place to put drinks. A lot of people don't realize that an extra perk to having a small refrigerator on the outside of their RV or an outside fridge is the fact that you can put drinks, water, soda, things like that inside of it. And if you're at a truck stop, if you stop at a park and you don't want to get your whole RV set up, you just want to get out, take some pictures, you have access to drinks, you have access to snacks and things like that. And in many cases, that refrigerator will be connected to an inverter, which connects to your batteries, so you have the ability to keep that one on whenever you're traveling. But a lot of people also don't realize, though, that that could be the source of a parasitic draw if they're not careful. Basically, something that pulls off of the battery if this is connected and it's getting power whenever your RV is at, a storage lot or next to the house. That said, though, having a compact refrigerator does accomplish a lot of really nice tasks, especially when you're outside. You can put some cold adult beverages in there if you have the family outside and you're watching a game or something like that, because like I mentioned in the first video, you're seeing a lot more 110 outlets and cable connections out here that you can actually access if you're going to want to use this outside area for entertaining as well. But outside kitchen's important. This is not the most convenient outside kitchen. Even though I helped design this RV, it sits about 4.5 feet off of the ground, which means that if you want to use it, you have to be kind of tall, which means if the kiddos are here, you better have a step stool or a small ladder to access this one. And that's probably my single biggest regret with this specific setup that we did here, is that we didn't think a little bit more innovatively about how we can integrate an outside kitchen into, or an outside sink into this space. It is really nice, though, because if you go fishing, or if you're hunting, or if you have, you know, stuff on your hands and you want to wash your hands off before you get into the RV. For me and most people, it's no problem, but for kiddos, it's probably going to be a bit of a reach. And again, you're going to want to have a little step stool or ladder to get up to it, which we do keep inside of there, so it's not that big of a deal for us, but it is worth noting. Now let's go take a look at the other kitchen in the Surveyor. Okay, so to me, this right here is more of a kitchen than what we have on the Brookstone. I love this space. The only thing that is kind of lacking for some is going to be a connection to your gray tank from the sink. So this sink right here actually just lifts out and you dump the water out, right? This is not what I would consider to be a functioning sink basin. It's just more of a basin. It just simply allows you to get water in here, store it, wash your hands, whatever you need to do. Then you can carry it inside of the RV if you need to dump it out, or if there's nothing bad in the water, you could just dump it out, right? This right here is becoming more and more popular on overland RVs. RVs that are designed to be off-grid, where in some cases it's a collapsible rubber sink. But what's cool about it is the fact that this all stows into this space whenever you're done. Basically, you pull the sink out, this goes underneath here, the little prep station on the other side slides in as well, and it all goes back into this little cubby, which is awesome. There's no dedicated faucet out here, but there is water. So I have a spray port, which is really nice, and they put it perfectly to work in conjunction with this. The only thing they probably could have added was something that can hold it right here or at an angle, just so you can, you know, wash your hands a little bit easier with both hands as opposed to having to hold this with one or the other. But I might try to find a creative solution for that, because I think that that would be a great solution to add right here just to be able to hold this up. I might need to change out the sprayer with a different type of sprayer to make that work, but we'll work on that in a future video. The reason why this is a really great kitchen is because it gives you cooking capabilities, right? If I have fajitas and I'm going to cook those, or hot dogs or burgers, I can do that right here. This pulls a fair distance out from the RV, but not as far as I would like it to. This is the same system that a lot of RV manufacturers are using in their RVs now, especially your smaller RVs. The only critique I have is that there's nothing blocking this area right here from grease and stuff that might splash. If it's hot dogs, not that big of a deal because they don't really splash grease anywhere. But if it's hamburgers, steaks, things like that, it's definitely something you want to be concerned about. So for me, I'll likely find a solution where I can block this back area off, and just make it so it's a little safer, so I don't have to worry about grease splattering. Maybe I'll take a piece of cardboard and wrap it in aluminum foil and just kind of set it back here, so anything that splatters back hits that as a backsplash versus getting on the inside of my door or inside of this space, which is much harder to clean and could draw, you know, insects and rodents and things into your RV. But aside from that, if we're only doing things that don't splatter a lot of grease, this is really, really good setup. Now, the only caveat is you have to be sure that when you use something like this, everything is accessible at the same time. And you can see we can get the door open if we want to, but it will touch slightly. Not that big of a deal, but if we simply push that in, we have great access to the compact refrigerator that's out here. Now, a perfect, like the best type of outside kitchen, in my opinion, actually kind of looks like an outside kitchen. There's cabinetry, there's a spot for a TV, there's a microwave outside. Your grill sometimes comes around from the back of the bumper, or it extends really far out to the side here. You have maybe sometimes a larger refrigerator, sometimes it's the same size. You have some power plugs so you can plug things in like we have right there. This one we could probably put something small out here, maybe one of those little roaster ovens or toaster ovens. We could throw one of those out here. That would be kind of cool. But the perfect kitchen, of course, is one that has all your cabinetry, everything to hold all your gear and all your equipment, your grilling stuff, maybe even extra plates, extra cups and utensils. But this, in my opinion, is a perfect size kitchen for this size of travel trailer. Had the travel trailer been much, much larger, well then, you know, you would have had more space, more real estate to put a larger kitchen. But I think this is a good size kitchen for this size of trailer. But in my opinion, again, if you don't have some type of a sink, I do consider this to be a sink, some type of water source out here for that, I don't consider it to be a true outside kitchen. A lot of RVs only have a refrigerator, and then this spot right here will be dead. They might have a power outlet here for you to be able to charge your phones, things like that. But if it does not have a sink, to me, again, it is not an outside kitchen. But I do like this one. We're going to talk about steps, because steps, of course, are the way you get in and out of your RV. And there's been a lot of evolution in the last 5 years in terms of the types of steps that are available. What you're looking at in front of you is the Lippert Solid Step XF. I really like this. I kind of debuted this product on the Brookstone. It was a product that wasn't available on the Brookstone at the time, but we showcased it as part of kind of like a reveal. So before I get into what I like about this step system, let's talk about the reason why these types of steps are nice in general. So there's two main brands that make steps for RVs that look like this. It's either going to be Lippert or it's going to be Moride. Both are very reputable brands. Both make a very, very good quality product, and both in their own ways are really nice. They have really great features. The nice feature that they both share is that they give you a really, really solid, firm connection to the ground. So unlike the RV steps in the past, which folded out from underneath the door, which felt very springy, and for a lot of people, that didn't matter. For a lot of people, that's totally fine. But for some people, they felt a little unnerving or unbalancing because you were really close up to the RV, and when you stepped on them, the whole RV sometimes moved, and the steps definitely moved and bounced a little bit. They had them in really two flavors, black steel or a silver aluminum step. And if you had the silver aluminum, it looked a lot like this in terms of the step platform. Now, both of those worked fine. The aluminum steps not only looked a little nicer, they were kind of considered a bit of an upgrade, and you didn't have to deal with rusting as much like you might deal with the steel steps. That said, though, most RVs now are coming with either this, the Lippert version of this, or the Moride version of this. The Moride's called the Step Above. The Lippert's called the Solid Step. They both fold into your RV, and they both fold out of your RV the exact same way. There's really no difference between the two. Moride offers a hydraulic assist with theirs that can actually make it really, really easy to lift it up. You can lift it up with like one finger. There's like no problem lifting it up. And the Moride step can be a little bit more convenient for those who might have a problem lifting something that's kind of heavy. Now, Lippert does make an assist for their steps, but it's less likely you'll see it on an RV. I don't really know why, but I typically don't see RVs on dealership lots that have the Lippert version with the assist. I see a lot of the Moride steps that have the assist, though, so maybe it's a pricing thing, maybe it's what they sell it to the manufacturers for. Not 100% sure, but again, you're far more likely to see the Moride with the assist versus the Lippert with the assist. Now, let's talk about advantages, because they both have some advantages. First of all, again, typically when you see the Moride on your mid to higher end units, it will have the assist. Moride also has another version of their step which allows you to actually take the tread and flip it up. They all flip up together, and that's really nice because that lets you get all the dirt off of the steps whenever you are stowing your steps into the RV, so you don't transfer all of that to the inside of your RV. What Lippert does really well is that they give you a really, really wide platform right here. This platform, I'm going to just guesstimate, it's about 3 inches wider than the Moride, and the reason why is because the rails here are narrower. On the Moride steps, they're about 1.5 inches thick, roughly, on each side. And because they're thicker, the steps tend to be a little bit narrower overall. But at the same time, though, they're both really good systems. You're not going to lose out because you have one over the other. Again, both very reputable companies. They build great products, and quite frankly, they both have kind of revolutionized this space. The one downside to having steps like this is if you're going to park your RV really close to another RV, or maybe close to your home. Maybe you plan on putting it next to your garage, and with a step system like this, because they have to fold out like that, you may not have the clearance you need to be able to actually fold these out the way that you want to, and you may have to go to a different type of step system. There's other brands out there, but these are typically the only two you're going to see that come standard on RVs, or you might still see some of the older fashioned ones that fold underneath the door. If you have a clearance issue and you need to get into your RV when you're parked next to a garage where maybe you only have 2 feet of space, these may not work for you, and these may actually prohibit you from getting into your RV. Whereas the steps that fold out from underneath the door that you traditionally saw on RVs, for the last 20, 30 years, those steps still give you access to the inside of your RV, even if you're right up against another object. These steps can also be a little bit challenging, either these or the Moride. If you're at a truck stop and you're parked close to other vehicles, you might not be able to get into your RV until you pull your RV out. But just something to keep in mind. Both are great systems. And the whole point of them is that it's a stable, solid stepping platform to get in and out of your RV without that springy feeling and without having to deal with shaking the entire inside of your RV whenever you're getting in or out. Okay, so in the next video, we'll hop inside of the RV, but quickly I want to mention something that I've brought up in past videos, and that's you do want to look for Asdell on your RV. Now, this is not a promotional thing talking about Asdell, but Asdell just happens to be the only manufacturer that I'm aware of that makes this really great composite sidewall material that most RV manufacturers have switched to if you have one of these smooth sidewalls. If you don't have a smooth sidewall and it's corrugated, well, you're not going to see Asdell because that's an aluminum sided sidewall over a wood frame typically. But if it's a smooth sidewall like this, it's either going to be fiberglass over a Luan wood backer, or it's going to be fiberglass over an Asdell backer. And that's true for probably about 95% of the industry. And the reason why this is so important is because Asdell is a composite panel. It's made out of like recycled bottle caps or fiberglass. It's all sorts of other things mixed together, but it basically does not give the wall the ability to have water intrusion between the outside fiberglass layer and the backing Asdell material when they're adhered properly together. If it's Luan or a wood backer, well, any moisture that gets in from a leak around a window, roof, any issue like that can cause that wood to swell up, rot, and delaminate from the fiberglass, and that's why you see bubbles on the side walls of some of your older RVs. Many RV manufacturers have switched to Asdell. Many of them have switched to Asdell on both the outside as well as the inside panel instead of Luan. But I would at least recommend, if you're looking at an RV that has a smooth sidewall, that you look for the Asdell onboard sticker. Some manufacturers don't put that sticker on, but they still use Asdell. So you do want to ask the dealership. You want to do some research perhaps to see if Asdell is used in the sidewall material. Both our Forest River Surveyor and our Coachman Brookstone use Asdell, as do many, many brands out there. But it is definitely something worth looking into, and the material got so much more popular during COVID because Luan wood wasn't available. It was hard to get. It was hard to import. So Asdell's manufactured in the United States, and they had much easier access to it, and a lot of brands switched to it. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you enjoyed this video. I promise we will work our way inside of the RV, but like I stated in the last videos, I want to be very comprehensive and detailed with these videos because I know folks may use this as kind of their study guide for things to look out for whenever it comes time to RV shop on a dealership lot. Anyways, again, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment. I would really appreciate it if you took a moment, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you get notified when the new videos come out. That's such an important part as well. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video, and we'll talk to you again very soon.